Hey everybody, I am Dani, otherwise known as the GURL. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome here if you are new. So, in case you didn't notice, I had taken a few weeks off from posting any videos. I had some stuff kind of happening with my family, but everything's all good now, so I thought this would be a great time to show you an update on my landscaping and my garden. As always, if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here every week with me. And if you want more day-to-day inspiration, be sure to check me out on Instagram at the Girl Texas. So in case y'all didn't see, we had a really bad storm in February, and it's been about a month since that happened, but it really decimated a lot of the local terrain and landscaping. So most of us have been cleaning up the damage. I feel really lucky in that I didn't actually lose a lot of plants. I had a lot of stuff I had to cut back, but mostly everything is still alive. I had a lot of stuff that I covered with my frost blankets, which I'll link below if you want to get you some for next year. They worked so good. I mean, I think it really saved a lot of my plants. I do have a few things that died and a few things I still have to pull out, which I'll show you guys, and trying to figure out what I'm going to replace everything with. But it's March and it's springtime and the weather is warming up, so it's time to get everything spruced up, trimmed back, and then start planning what we're gonna plant for our spring and summer gardens. I also have some seedlings going for vegetables and flowers, which I'll show you guys inside. Okay, let's go take a look at everything.
Okay, so first I just wanted to take you back to the bad storm we had in February. You can see here my backyard beds I had covered with my frost blankets. I also covered a good portion of the front with frost blankets or towels. So this here was the first night that we got really bad snow, which we never get in the greater Houston area. It was crazy how much snow we got. So here you can see that I am starting to uncover my frost blankets and kind of check out how everything did. This bed actually did really well with regards to not really losing anything or having to cut anything back. So those frost blankets worked fabulous. And then here I brought out all my pots that had been inside. I was a little worried because they'd been inside for about 6 days, but most of them ended up doing really good. And then my pots on the fence. And then this bed was all my wildflowers, so the tops got a little bit of, I guess, freezer damage, but overall they were good. The few carrots and beets that had germinated were pretty much done for, but they hadn't done well anyways. And then here was the bluebonnets were fine. The lettuce got some damage on the top, but overall the roots were totally fine. And then the gay feather there was okay. And then this was my pollinator bed, so a lot of the flowers had some damage on the very top where they were touching the frost blanket because the whole thing was covered in snow. But overall, it saved almost all of the plants, which I was very excited about. Probably the worst was the last bed that I didn't cover. I had the broccoli, and you can see here it looks really good. Here it is covered in snow. And then here it is pretty much decimated. And then this is the front, so I had to trim back a lot of the bigger bushes. So you can see here the lily turf. My lantana was pretty much destroyed other than the root. Everything is really brown. The larger wax ligustrums on the ends were okay. I had covered pretty much all of the snapdragons and roses, so those actually did really well. this was my Japanese blueberry tree. It's pretty much done for. So all of the lily turf I had to cut back to the root. And then my poor little tulips that were looking so good just abruptly died. I don't know if they got waterlogged or they just missed the sun. So you can see here, this is where I cut everything back. But going through, this is how everything looks today. It's all starting to grow back. I was really excited to see that. And I added in a blackberry bush to the front here. I have it trellised. You can see all the lily turf here I cut back and they're starting to grow back. And then I was most excited probably to see the lantana. I was really worried was dead, but I cut it all the way back and it's sprouting new growth from the root. And then here in the back I planted sunflower seeds, so those are starting to pop up. Over on this side, the wax ligustrum and the boxwoods in the back were fine. The yopon dwarf hollies, which are the little ball bushes, those were good. All the snapdragons are coming back. And you can see here, a lot of them are fixing to explode with blooms. And I had a pot of a rose bush, a pot of ranunculus, those are all good. More snapdragons there in the middle. Crepe myrtle tree right there was fine. I had that huge lantana here on the end that I had to cut all the way back to the root, but it's already growing back, which is really exciting. Those things grow like weeds, so I wasn't super worried, but I was happy to see that because it's such a great attraction for bees and butterflies that I love having it in my yard. So right there, the snapdragons are doing great. The rose bushes are doing really good. They have lots of blooms. One has already made a bloom here. And then I had a couple of strawberry plants on the front. And I just love how everything is so green. Like these big drift roses in the front are so green. I just added compost and fertilizer to all the roses a few weeks ago. So I think it's really starting to kick in. I'm really excited. And then right there behind the snapdragons, you can see the daffodils that I planted last year have sprouted up again, and they've already given me a couple of blooms. But here, more snapdragon blooms. Then I planted, this was a rose bush I had already planted, and then I added a new one, a yellow, Texas yellow rose bush. So here's more of the large drift rose bushes. They're looking really good. And then I added some pentas. That was the one thing that did die, even though I covered them. They're just not cold hardy at all. So I just got a couple of new ones and I added them in because they're such an attraction for the bees and the butterflies. So I like having them in the yard. And then the lily over here on the side I cut back, and those are really starting to grow back really well. Okay, so going back to the backyard, this is the bed right behind my bedroom. So I had these beautiful big bottle brush trees, and they've pretty much all died back. The lily here I cut back and it's already growing, which is really good, but these poor bottle brushes, I really think they're done for. It's been about a month and they're just not growing, so I need to pull them out. But all the azaleas looked really good. I covered the small ones and those saved all the blooms. The larger ones like this one I did not cover. It survived, but it lost all the blooms, but you can see it has a lot of new growth. So these little ones here are fixing to explode with blooms, but the larger ones are not. Once your azaleas and your camellias are done blooming, then you want to fertilize them. They grow on growth from the previous year. So after they're done blooming, give them a shot of fertilizer and they'll use that to make buds for the next year. Over here, this is my shrimp plant that I've had for a while now, and I had brought it inside, but you can see it's just doing so well. It really likes the shade, so I like having it here on the edge of the patio because it's really pretty and it also attracts bees and hummingbirds. So this bed on the end I have prepped for tomatoes and peppers. I put in some fertilizer and compost, and then this pollinator bed here, I added a few new plants. I had cut back some of the existing ones, like this butterfly bush on the end was all brown and I cut it back, but it's already grown back really, really well. And then I have an aster in the front. I have some interplanted strawberries, some milkweed in the back. I put in a new penta right there because my previous ones had died. The salvia here on the end looks really good. I added a bee balm. So this bed, the gay feather is doing okay. It's not really growing as well as I thought it would, but got to give it time. The lettuce all has grown back really, really well. And then probably the most exciting thing are these blue bonnets right here. They are really starting to sprout up a lot of flowers, and I just think they're so pretty. And then this last bed, this is where all the wildflowers are. If y'all remember that video where I had just pulled up the frost blanket, they were really, really kind of shortish and had died back a little bit, but here they're just fixing to explode. I got a big giant milkweed plant and added that in, and then I just have my pot sitting there with my mint. And then this bed is the strawberry bed. So the camellias are on the side, and then I interplanted some arugula, which is doing really well, but all the strawberries are doing great. The yarrow plant there on the end. There are so many flowers and strawberries growing. It's going to be really exciting this next month. these are my seedlings inside. I have tomatoes, peppers, lavender, and a bunch of flowers growing.
All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I hope it was inspirational maybe. I can't wait to see what you all are up to in your garden, and I will see you next time. Bye.